Mady is my name, but Gerrard is my last name. But that's not the name I was born with. Goldgruber, you know what it means? Gold digger. Didn't work for me. I have been digging for all my life and I haven't found any yet, but I'm still digging. I won the American Knitwear Design Award. I think we made an impression with our knitted evening dresses those days, floor-length evening dresses. And we did some very, very nice ones. And I also did crochet, and it was the time, this was 1969, and it was the time of mini dresses. I made everything. I knitted and I crocheted and I embroidered and I did everything. But you know what? I never had a knitting button in my life. I couldn't because I'm terribly impatient and I want everything to be very quickly. At the age of 5, I went for a Christmas holiday to visit my great aunt who lived in Hungary, has a very big lake in the middle of the country. And my little great aunt had a, obviously old-fashioned now, but a wool shop. I learned everything in that shop. And you have seen shelves and shelves of various wools. There was no synthetic those days except for rayon. And you had embroidery silks and embroidery wools and tapestries and needlepoint and needles and knitting needles and everything that people used. In the evenings, she and I were sitting around the table and we had a book propped up on a soapstone dish, and we were reading a book and doing knitting or crocheting and listening to the radio. During the war, I remember that when I was 13 years old, actually when I went to Auschwitz, I was pining for my old life. But a few months later from Auschwitz I was taken to a little town called Guben, which is in Germany, into a little camp. Only 350 girls, all sort of same age, and we were working. In Auschwitz we didn't do anything, but we were working in Guben. We worked in a factory making little tiny components for radio and planes and ships and I don't know what. By this time it was very, very cold and there was a lot of snow. And we had wooden clogs, and there was a cobbler shop in the camp. They had to look after our wooden clogs because we wouldn't get any new ones. I had some problem with my clogs and I walked in to the cobbler shop and there were 2 ladies sitting there from the same suburb of Budapest where my mother's family came from. By this time I had a reputation of being good with needles and things. I don't know how because we didn't have any knitting needles. So she found a very beautiful, I can see it now, flesh color wool, knee-length sock, machine knitted. And she had this ball of wool, and she asked me if I could possibly cut the half of the leg and knit a foot on it, so that she could have 2 socks. Well, what I used for knitting needles was thin branches of fir trees, and my girlfriend had to help me because while it was still a little bit damp, it was very difficult because the stitches wouldn't slide on it. And the minute it dried, it broke. We knew that we were going to be taken away the next day. And there was an area in the middle of the evening, and all the lights went out, of course. In the pitch darkness, I managed to finish the toe of the sock, which is the most difficult part of the sock. And she wore them walking for 14 days to Belzan concentration camp, and then I was there until liberation. Well, I was taken to Sweden by the Swedish Red Cross from Belzan, and I was in Sweden for a year. I came to Cardiff in December 1956. When I arrived in Cardiff, I had £6 sterling cash. And I bought a knitting machine. I put down £5. So then obviously what I made was very, very European looking, so it was different. And people liked it, and I started to manufacture very high-class knitwear. When I think back, I had learned the basis of everything that I have done all my life for my little great aunt, starting at age 5.